Today's video is going to be multi-layered. In the beginning of the video, I'm going to explain the origins of Christmas, the Christmas tree, and why we celebrate Christmas on December 25th. In the second part of the video, I will then have a little commentary on why I personally am not a big fan of Christmas. Preface. Whatever you like, whether it's sports, music, art, poetry, you do you, boo. Do whatever you want. Typically, this is universally accepted. If I were to tell somebody I'm not a big fan of smooth jazz music, that person would probably say something akin to, I get it. No worries, no problem, Bob. They would understand that it's just not my thing. However, if you tell somebody that you're not a big fan of Christmas, and I've done this on a few occasions, they look at you like their eyes are about to pop out of their head. You're from a different planet. You just insulted their mom, the American flag, or even Jesus himself. Christmas itself is not even a Christian holiday. Nowhere in the Bible does it mention the word Christmas. Nowhere in the Bible does it talk about an organized holiday that celebrates the birth of Christ. Furthermore, in the Gospels, which are the accounts of Jesus in the Scriptures, it never specifies when Jesus was even born. It does say that the shepherds tended their flock by night. Using historical precedent, during the wintertime, the ground would be frozen. Most likely, the shepherds and the sheep would be under some sort of shelter rather than being outside. The point I'm trying to make is there's nothing biblical, there's nothing Christian about Christmas. If it's your thing, it's your thing. Now into the origins of the holiday. Before Jesus walked the earth, during the winter solstice, Yule was celebrated. Yule was a 12-day festival celebrated in 900 in Germany. The word Yule comes from the Middle English Gil, Christmas Day, Christmas tide. The Anglo-Saxons practiced paganism before Christianity. When you hear the 12 Days of Christmas, that song originated from Yule, the 12 Days of Yule. In Deck the Halls of Bells of Holly, they say something akin to the Yule Tide Carol. It even mentions Yule itself. The most notable thing about Yule was the Yule log. Families would bring the trunk of the Yule tree inside and stick the big end of it into the fireplace. The Yule log would feed the fire through 12 days of Christmas, through the evening of the 5th of January, known as the 12th night. During the log burning, drinking, feasts, parties, and festivities went on. I'm sure you've heard the song, "Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire." That's where that comes from. And again, the 12 days of Christmas. But Yule isn't the only holiday that Christmas originates from. The second holiday is Saturnalia. Saturnalia was a pagan festival held in mid-December honoring the agricultural god Saturn. It was composed of orgies, public sacrifices, and banquets. I'm not saying this to be vain. I'm not saying this to shock anybody. I'm simply reporting what the holiday itself was. I'm just trying to call it right down the middle, the truth. Many of the Christmas traditions we have today began with Saturnalia. Why we celebrate Christmas on the 25th. The church in Rome began formally celebrating Christmas on December 25th in 336, during the reign of Emperor Constantine. As Constantine had made Christianity the effective religion of the empire. This had the political motive of weakening the established pagan celebrations. To make this thing short, I'm not here to give you a history lesson about the reign of Constantine. Constantine changed a lot of Rome traditions and the religion from paganism to Christianity. He has a mixed legacy. On the one hand, you have people who think he had a genuine conversion and that he was doing things for the Lord. On the flip side, you have people who think, just like Clovis, who was the first king of France, he used Christianity as a ploy, as a means to an end in order to gain political strongholds and create a cult of personality. Kind of like how a lot of the candidates now talk about how they love Jesus, and they really don't. They just say that because they want to gain political capital. But Constantine's not alive. We don't know if his conversion was genuine or not. But the whole reason that we celebrate Christmas on December 25th is not because of the Bible, not because of anything pertaining to Christianity. Rather, it's because Constantine, the emperor of Rome, chose that day, and the church made it an official holiday. Christmas ornaments. In Germany, people added fruits and nuts to trees once the leaves fell off to symbolize the promise of spring to come. Christmas trees originated during the Renaissance in early modern Germany. In the 16th century, Martin Luther was the first to add lighted candles to an evergreen tree. Now, the word Christmas is a shortened form of Christ Mass. The term derives from Middle English. The point I am trying to convey is that Christmas is not a Christian holiday. It originates from pagan celebrations that worshipped pagan gods. The only reason that we use Christianity when it pertains to Christmas is because of Constantine. What about good old Saint Nick? Oftentimes people, they think they're making this amazing point, say, I like the true meaning of Christmas, but I don't like the commercialism. That's a popular point to convey. And I don't tell anybody how to feel, how to act, or how to think. Christmas used to be a very small affair. Before modernization and the modern interstate highway system was built, which created shopping malls, chain restaurants, and American consumerism, Christmas was a very small family affair. My great-great-grandmother talked about how on Christmas they would receive maybe some soda pop, maybe a piece of fruit, maybe an apple and orange, and they were extremely happy. They had a lot of gratification based on the little small gifts they received. Christmas really became more commercialized as the American middle class grew. Department stores like Woolworths and Macy's would promote different items. And ever since that time period, that's when the commercialization of Christmas has risen. Last point about the history of the traditions, and then I will do a little commentary on what my personal opinion of Christmas is. As you know, I'm not a big fan, and I will explain why. The Saint Nick that we see today, who is fat with the red cheeks, pale skin, ho ho ho, jolly, was actually a creation by Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola wanted to sell more beverages, therefore they constructed this image of Santa Claus. That same image was then used in the parades, and it's the image we all, to this day, ascribe to Santa Claus. Another thing that you hear a lot about Christmas, it's about giving. And maybe that's the case, but think about this. If somebody buys you a PlayStation 5 and you give them a $25 gift card to Starbucks, in most cases, you're going to be looked down upon because the gift that you gave did not have the same economic value as the gift you received. If Christmas was purely about giving, then that would mean that you don't have to give anything if you don't feel obligated. Which you do, of course. If you're an adult and you work full-time, even part-time, within reason, you can pretty much buy all the things you want. If I want some Jack Daniels, if I want to read a book about something, if I want an Xbox game, I go out and buy it. As an adult, you're obligated to buy some cheap shit for somebody else because they buy you cheap shit. Neither of you really wants that cheap shit, but then you're obligated to go purchase it at a store, wrap it up, or put it in a box, bag, whatever. And then when you get the gift, you have to act like it's the greatest thing you've ever received. Like you just received gold or platinum or the secret recipe of KFC. You get a little gift card, you're supposed to be like, oh my god, for me? I can't believe it, man. Like, you're just so excited. I just tell people all the time, don't get me anything. But they do, then you're obligated to get them something, blah, blah, blah. You get the point. And they also say, I've had people before say, I don't just want to give you money, that's lazy. I want to go out and pick you something out. And it's like, I mean, what if you just use that money to pay for a bill? What if you use that money for this or that? But they always say, I want something from the heart. I just don't want money. I want something to know you're thinking of me. And it gets into that whole sentimental bullshit, and you get the point. People think, though, if you're not a big fan of Christmas, it's for one of two reasons. The first one is the Hallmark version. In the Hallmark movies, or the Hallmarkish movies, there's a dime a dozen of these things. There's a girl who moves into a small town, who loves Christmas, who enjoys Christmas, who obsesses over Christmas. She's making her little bakery, her little art studio, and then some douchebag corporate executive who owns a giant Amazon headquarters wants to bulldoze that little cookie store and build a mega Walmart-like corporation. The guy hates Christmas. He despises Christmas. There's tension between the two main characters in the film. Later on, as the film progresses and the characters develop a sort of a bond, they find out that the reason the guy hates Christmas is because his mom died on Christmas, his daughter doesn't want to see him on Christmas, some sort of negative reason why he doesn't like Christmas. People assume just because you don't like Christmas, it's because you have something bad that happened to you around that day. Or they assume that you're a Grinch, you're a Scrooge, you're a bah humbug, curmudgeon, get off my lawn type of person because you don't like Christmas. But ask people all the time, what's a food you hate? If somebody says broccoli, did you have some traumatic experience eating broccoli? Did you get heartbroken? Did you choke on broccoli and almost die? Or did a relative of yours choke on broccoli and die? Of course not. You just don't like broccoli, right? Same thing with Christmas. People just assume it's because you're hurt or you're Scrooge, when in all actuality, you might just not be a big fan. The whole reason I broke down the historical context is to prove that many people just go with the flow. They're moist robots. The theory is all of us don't really think things through. We kind of just go with the flow. And part of that survival mechanism, blah, blah, blah. But you get the point. Many of us just celebrate the day for no reason. Think about it. I'm all about if you do really good, if you win the game, if you get the business deal, if you achieve something of significance, by all God, celebrate it. Enjoy it. But what's the point of just celebrating something because it's that day? Like your birthday. Your mom did all the work. You just happen to come out and you get celebrated just for having a participation trophy. Just a blue ribbon for showing up. I can't just be like, it's a normal day at work. And then all of a sudden it's December 25th and I'm like, woohoo! Yeah, I'm so jolly. And the jolliness just, I don't get it. Like you're supposed to be happy and jolly just because it's that day. I am simply saying this. Christmas should be like any other day. If you like it, if you enjoy it, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're into the Christmas carols, the Frosty the Snowman, the sweets, this or that, you do you, boo. Enjoy it. Eat it up, blah, blah, blah. But if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. I don't see anything wrong with that. If I'm not a big fan of Christmas, why does that matter to you? You celebrate Christmas. I don't want to stop you from celebrating it. I don't want to rain on your parade. You do you, boo. Last thing I'll say, a friend of mine, I explained some of the historical context behind Christmas. He told his wife and she got mad. It's like, history happened. You can't undo what's already been done. That's like me saying, I can't believe John Wilkes Booth killed Abraham Lincoln, and getting all flustered over it, all angry and dwelling upon the outcome. This happened. All this information you can find for free on the internet. You can find it in a public library. You can find it, I'm sure, on YouTube. It's all there. And it happened. But that's my thoughts on Christmas. If you like Christmas, go for it.